Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it. Houston, welcome to another episode of the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. My name is Rudy Segura. I am not alone today. However, we do have some sad news. It's been a bad week for the sport of the sport here in Houston. The Texans just lost. We're trying to finish off that game, but again, I'm not alone. Cristian Putelias is with me.
Hello.
Cristian, welcome to the show, and we had to break the news to people. Maybe some, there's listeners, hearing this on their phone as they finish off tailgating or leaving the stadium, and it sucks if you're listening because of that. But at the end of the day, it wasn't the greatest weekend in sports for Houston, man.
Negatory. Everybody's losing at the last second, so we have hope on the Astros. They're still playing. They're winning by 1, so we'll see what happens.
And to add, I mean, it goes even further than that. You know, the SaberCats being announced that they won't be coming back kind of took a lot of people, what's it called, by surprise. I know Cesar was one of them. When he saw the news, he was like, man, they didn't even tell me. And he was out there, doing a couple games and stuff like that. So kind of crazy. Let's start there, man. What are your thoughts on just when teams just disappear out of nowhere like that? I mean, obviously we don't cover the rugby sport.
Yeah.
But I mean, they were just in a final, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And then, last year. Just shut it down.
I mean, it's weird. Houston is a weird sports city. I feel like we're very supportive of our teams, but at the same time, we're not. I don't know. It's also rugby, right? Like it's a weird sport, not weird, but just a different sport that we're not used to seeing here in the United States, which is interesting because it's so similar to American football that you would think people would gravitate to it. But then again, if you watch the what is it, Roughnecks? Like it's another league that
the XFL.
Yeah,
is it the XFL, USFL?
Yeah, people, right? But I don't think it's like that crazy amount of people. Also,
and a lot of it has to do with just again the people that follow the main sports, and you listen to main sports media at times. Yeah. I'm talking about national media that's gonna sit there and just talk about the Jets, 24/7. Yeah. They sit there and talk about baseball, talk about the NBA, and a lot of the times other sports just kind of completely disappear. But when you're talking about like we know that the most popular sport here in the States is football, right? American football is just like massive. And I feel that when there is no games because the season is so short, right? Is what 4 months, maybe
16 seasons or 16 games. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's about 4 or 5 months out of the year, and so for the other rest of the thing, there's nothing to do. So people just find, leagues like you mentioned, like the USFL or XFL, all those leagues in the spring to try to fill that void. But even then, they don't get the attention they could, and instead of maybe kind of wasting the time in that league in a sense per se, you could also give it an opportunity to other leagues like the MLS and obviously like the rest of the leagues out there that are not major to most Americans. But welcome, Mr. Tovar. We will be discussing, obviously, I guess a little rundown. We'll be talking about the Houston Dynamo loss over the weekend against the Colorado Rapids. We'll be previewing a little bit of what the game against Portland Timbers means, and I guess our predictions, and we'll finish it off with we'll turn it into kind of like a game, but we do have all the information when it comes to contracts and options for next year. Surprisingly, there's only 6 players, I believe, under contract for 2026.
That's crazy.
The rest are, players that are out of contract and also players that have option years. So, as I mentioned last week, I believe, and weeks before that expect a lot of turnover in 2026. In particular, because of how bad this season was as a whole. Whether the team makes it to the playoffs or not, it's gonna be I think there's gonna be a lot of movement when it comes to the squad. But Christian, before we get too further into this, and I'll set this up so we can play the highlights and kind of talk over that. But tell the people how they can connect with us, man.
Yeah. The website is BayouCitySoccer.net. If you go to it, you'll see that it has a kind of a new look to it. Maybe it's not as what you're used to seeing day in and day out. So go check it out. Still the same content, still the same great stories and stuff that we do here at Bayou City Soccer. But go check it out. Go take a peek at it. And let us know what you think of it. Let us know if you like something. If you don't, we're always here for constructive criticism as well. We might not take it as nice, but it's okay. But you can always check us out on social media on at Bayou City Soccer, of course, on Instagram, Facebook, X, and Blue Sky. So you can check us out over there. Don't forget to check out We Got Soccer, WeGotSoccer.com, Ugly Guppy at UglyGuppy.com, and Elotes Bravos at Elotes Bravos on Instagram. So go check it out. Thank you guys for always tuning in week in and week out. Don't forget, if you listen to this on the podcast or the podcast feeds, you can follow the show there and leave us a review. So same thing there. Let us know what you like, what you don't. If you want to implement some things, maybe we'll take a look at it and also see if we can throw them in here or not. And also, we have more than one podcast. So check out Movimiento Naranja on Thursdays and Orange and Blueprint, on Wednesday nights when we do a lot of Dash Talk. So go check those guys out. They have guests. They have quality guests that come in almost every week that, talk about the Dash and stuff like that. And then also we have interviews throughout the week with players, coaches, and stuff like that. So if you guys are interested in that, check out the YouTube channel for Bayou City Soccer. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the little notification button so you can be notified whenever we post content. We're literally posting about 3 to 4 videos a week, so go check that out over there.
Too much stuff, man.
It's a lot of stuff, but
it's a lot of stuff. But I mean, we try to do our best so everybody gets a little. Whenever what's that song that says like tira contenido? Is it Bad Bunny that says that? Probably. Yeah, basically.
Sounds like a Bad Bunny
no. Basically,
phrase.
in the sense of like, you're on the social media just waiting for more content, basically, and that's what we try to do. You mentioned We Got Soccer. We are planning to be out there next week. Unfortunately, Christian will probably not be there for other ties, so he won't be signing autographs on Tuesday. But
sorry, mates.
We'll give you guys more information, but we're shooting for Tuesday around 6 p.m. at the We Got Soccer in West Chase location. We should be giving you more updates on that probably by Wednesday regarding the Houston Dynamo Football Club personality that will make it out there. So we would love for you guys to make it out there and hang out with us. We only streamed for about an hour, and we did a really good job last time, to be honest, because for the amount of guests and stuff, I think we kept it right under an hour, of live, and even with breaks and stuff. So it turned out to be pretty good. But anyways, make it out there. We would love to welcome and see you out there, and we'll have stickers and stuff like that. But we'll have this one, and we're shooting for one more in October. So we'll get that going. But Christian, let me go ahead. I kind of obviously mentioned this is not news or breaking news by any means, but the Dynamo did lose 2-1 to yet another late goal against them. That kind of the dream is not dead, but they're on the brink of whether they're in or out, and it looks like they have 8 toes out at this rate, bro. Like they're barely hanging,
like the little pinkies.
So let me go ahead and play the highlights, man, and feel free to talk over them as we go.
Let's do it.
Let me see. There we
go. Los Colorados.
Oh wait, wrong one. This is not the one. My bad. See, this is technology is hard sometimes, bro.
Technology is hard.
I was like, why did I pick the wrong one? Okay, I got it right here. My bad. It's because I guess I had the other one open too. Where are you? There you go. Media player.
Where are you?
Anyway. Oh no, what happened?
It's broken. Se rompió.
It was playing it. All right, never mind. We'll play the highlights later. Okay.
I mean, there's not much to look at.
There really isn't. There isn't. Rudy, I like that hat. This is not in the store, man. Yeah. So this hat was an original to some of the members, and I got my hands on it. It took
It's
me
nice.
It came out in 2020 when they did the rebrand 2021, and I just got it recently. So I'm proud of this hat because, funny enough, right now that Dago mentions it, bro, the other day I was at the gym, right, guys, and it's like, you don't look like you go to the gym. I don't, right? I don't look like it. No, but I was at the gym and I saw this guy wearing like an orange hat and I think he was wearing an orange shirt. And just from like first glance, I'm like, oh man, another Dynamo fan. And I look and it was San Francisco Giants hat. And I was like, dang, it is a baseball logo, bro. It is a baseball logo.
Well, I mean, I feel like every logo, not every logo, but like a lot. I mean, it's a baseball hat, right? So that's where it comes from. And I think everybody that designs anything is looking for that baseball look to kind of throw on a logo. But it does look good like that. I mean, we always talk about, how can we have a hat with like a simple HD type thing? And I think that's probably one of the best ones, to be honest. So I'm with who was it that said it? Dago.
Dago.
I'm with Dago on that.
It's a really nice hat. It's difficult to find hats that like for the Dynamo that just have the logo. It took me a minute to like the logo, Chris.
Yeah.
But I think I've kind of gotten used to it.
It grows on you.
Yeah, it does. And but just the HD by itself is pretty legit.
All right, first second there. Don't you find it interesting that a lot of teams are doing that now? Like the kickoff is to give it away, basically.
Yeah, I saw well, let me pause it here. But I saw there is a video out there that was showing apart from just kicking along, a lot of people are just playing it towards the corner. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I hadn't really noticed. And then now that I noticed it, a lot of people are doing it now too. So.
Everybody's doing it. It's like it's one of those modern things that everybody's doing now. God, I hate modern football. I hate playing out the back. I hate those long kicks. I'm sure if Joey and Dustin are listening, they're rolling their eyes. But I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I wish everybody would stop doing it. And you know what's funny? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
but this goal right here, it's so old school soccer that I was like, I can't even be mad about
it. No, this was a great goal, obviously. But the only thing I was gonna add, the highlight didn't show it, but it was such a silly foul from Arthur. I believe that's who did that foul right there.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and I was like trying to remember. It's like don't want to call him out because we'll call him out again later. But yeah, obviously like silly foul at the edge of the box, and I mean. I do feel they're a little bit more rare, but that was such a clean goal. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, the little, you heel it back to your player, take a nice touch, and Cole Bassett.
Because literally moving the ball away 1 yard from the wall, it literally gave him a wide open shot in a way.
Mm-hmm.
All he had to do was just kind of curl it in. And it's such an old school thing. Like, oh my God. Like, it gives me flashbacks though when I was a kid. When you try to do all these weird things, like, oh, I'll give it to you, you give it to him, and then you give it back to me, and then we'll shoot. So everybody's like going every direction. And I was like, man, that's just
whenever people are like, we'll run over the ball. Yeah, like 30 people run over the ball.
And funny because one of the things that I kept looking at this game was that Colorado does that a lot. Yep. I don't know if you noticed.
Yep.
A lot of teams have like the two, like a right footer and a left footer on top of the ball when it comes to like free kicks and stuff like that. But usually know who's gonna kick it, right? Like 9 times out of 10 is gonna be the same guy that takes all the same shots. And there's no like surprise factor there. But Colorado does that was crazy right there.
Yeah. I'll pause it. I know it's distracting you.
No, but Colorado had like a great. They do that great because there's certain points that you did not know who was going to take it. So then, as a goalkeeper, you don't know if the ball's going to curl in, is going to curl out, and I think it's something that, like I said, it's kind of like an old school thing that they brought it back, and I think, and also another cool thing that I saw that is kind of also a newish thing is how they had a set pieces coach, I think it
Mm.
was, and every time something happened like that, he would stand up and he would like give indications. I know we have
Well,
Kenny Bundy, but I
yeah,
feel
I
like
was
we don't
gonna
see him as
say
often.
no. Kendi Bundy. Every time there is some kind of free kick or something, you see him standing up and giving directions. But which is new, and I do find it funny in
Yeah.
that sense. But I mean, modern football. What can you do,
As
right?
a Also as a Villa fan, I know if you guys do probably, if you don't watch Villa, or actually he's not there anymore. There used to be a coach that he had long hair. I forgot where he went now. He's in a national team somewhere. I can't remember which country, but he used to be the set piece coach at Aston Villa, and Aston Villa had set pieces, like
Yeah.
legit, like football, like American football style set pieces, where it'd be like, all right, we're running play 42 type thing, and then they will do some weird things, and a lot of times it would pay off in goals. And since that guy left, I can see it in Aston Villa. They don't do those plays anymore. And it's
You know,
interesting because the guy
I
just
feel
puts
I
about those
feel the
plays.
same way, and there's not a lot of highlights. We're literally about to see the
Yeah.
two goals, basically. But I feel the same way when Burke left, when the Houston Dynamo, their assistant, I can't think of his first name now, but his last name was Burke. He ends up leaving last year or 2 years ago, and that's how Kenny Bundy ends up taking that spot.
Mhm.
But I believe since then, I love Kenny Bundy, but they just haven't been as good.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I feel that in the past they have done much better in set pieces.
And a lot of people, not to harp on Kenny Bundy or set pieces stuff, but they're like, well, like we have scored a bunch of goals out of set pieces. Well, yeah, because you have a good set piece taker. And I mean, set pieces, I'm not saying they're luck, but it's kind of being at the right place at the right time. It's not like, kicking the ball into the box. Obviously, it has its own, details to it. You can't just kick it in. It has to have the nice curl, first post, second post. Obviously, there's stuff that goes into it that Jack McGlynn, has mastered in a way, even at this young age. But there's not a lot to it. It's just kind of throw it in the mix,
Yeah.
first poster, second post, as that's as much detail that they can get, unfortunately.
Yeah, and so going into the remainder of the highlights, this next play, it's obviously McGlynn puts it where it needs to go, right? Literally in a
Yeah,
hard. I
second
mean, the
post.
goalkeeper
Oh, that
couldn't
one.
come out, and nobody could get that. It's unfortunate, obviously, a ton of bodies in the 6 yard box,
Yeah.
but I mean, dude, you need to put that away. That's a nasty foul on Arthur, man. Like there's somebody just needs to hit it.
Ah,
Sviatchenko, Lingard, I think Felipe Andrade was the first one. And then again, another set piece taken very well.
yeah,
And
first
if it
post. Yeah.
wasn't for Lingard being so in front of goal, his header would have actually did redirected towards net, but
Yeah.
it was so far up front, it wasn't gonna do much unless you're like Jared Borghetti that you can
Right.
wind it back.
Completely redirect the
This was
ball.
such a good play as well. And how did Jack McGlynn not finish it? I get it. He had the confidence to do, a one-touch shot, hits the bar, the far post from his shot. But
So bums
man,
off.
yeah,
Dang. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Nine times out of 10 it goes in.
well, and he is gonna take it. I mean, you don't expect him to take a touch. He's super left-footed.
Yeah.
He
That's a
literally
good
only
shot.
uses the right foot to get up the bus, basically. But this is a good play. We're laughing because when we're watching this whole game, we saw Nali just struggle all first half,
I agree.
all of second half. He only had one or two plays similar to this late in the match. And we were talking about, let me pause it here. We were talking about between each other saying how we've noticed the more that Anali stores, the more we see that he struggles. He just
Yeah.
finds it difficult to break down defense when it's early in the game, and they don't even have to mark him with two players. It's not like that. That's the way that you mark Anali. It's a lot of zone that you see the opponents kind of just bring the players down, basically like try to don't let him just kick the ball up and beat you by speed. And because of that, he just disappears a lot of the game. Him and Lingard really struggled specifically in the first half. They kept getting in each other's ways, but they weren't able to actually bring the game wide, unlike that play off the goal, right? And by then it was the play before that. You saw how he beat Reggie Cannon. He did get fouled. Reggie Cannon got a yellow card there. And so the more time elapsed, the more Nally was able to kind of break free. But unfortunately, it's not good enough because at one in the beginning of the game, you start feeling like you really are playing, handicap in some ways because there's not a or a wing or a forward that it can again bring that pressure to the opposition, man. So I don't know if you want to add anything on Anali, if what I said makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, or any other
No,
feelings
it makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, I think a lot of people obviously know what they can expect from an Ali, like defending wise. So they as long as they can kind of keep him controlled or stable in one position or one place, then he's obviously gonna resort to obviously the one-on-one. But if they know how to control that, then obviously it's gonna be easier for them. And then the next best thing for him is just turn around and pass back. What I like about an Ali is that he keeps trying and trying and trying. Obviously, it can get frustrating if you're watching and if you are the one, supporting him in a way. I can completely understand. But obviously, what you're hoping from an Ali is he can get a one break and
Yep.
Do what he did, which is to get an assist.
And that's not to say that he's not a good player. I don't want people saying like, oh, well, maybe you miss Ali or a play. We're not getting into that. Talent is different for sure. But the thing is, there's things that other players can do that Anali can't. And then obviously there's things that Anali can do and others can't. Yeah. And we know if you give Anali the perfect wall pass into space, he's going to completely be able to, get rid of the entire fullback covering him. And that's what you want from him. But in this game in particular, if you guys go back and the highlights obviously don't do justice to watching the whole game. But in the I would say the first 30 minutes or so, you could see that they were just getting very congested between him and Lingard. Like they didn't know what to do. They would get stuck and kind of fill their own roles. And they're very slow at giving, back passes to each other or kind of building up a play. And by the time they did, again, the Rapids were fast enough and smart enough to just play zone, kind of come back, play zone, and give them space. Like, because they know that at the end of the day, they're not shooters, right? I mean, Anali hasn't really hit one from far out or Linger either. So they were giving them enough space not to get into the penalty box. And it worked. It was able to obviously contain Anali all the way to the 60th minute, before that goal. And then closer, a 1-1 game, Houston Dynamo looked a little shaky in some aspects, but they were still maintaining their shape. We did not see Femi come in, if I'm not mistaken. But there was yet another injury. Shocker. Antonio Carlos comes out. And then I believe Pablo Ortiz is the one that comes in for him. Let me see. And I guess the only good news was that Sviatchenko, talking about center backs, did play the whole game. But yeah, at substitution wise, Ortiz comes in the 46 minutes, so at halftime, and then Dwayne Holmes and Kovalchik in the 90th minute. So not a lot of subs, but yet again, you look at the bench and there's not
much,
a lot to play. I think at this rate, Bossy's gone, right? I mean, he hardly plays, and in a game that was so tight, you would think maybe he would come in, but he does not. So let me go ahead. We'll keep playing the highlights here.
Bossy's demise is something to be studied, huh?
It really him, yeah, man. It came in, scored like 8 penalties in year one.
Because I feel like they were big on him, but maybe they were big on him because there wasn't any other options.
Yeah. So this was the 93rd minute. Has a fantastic save.
They had a few saves in those last few
Yeah,
minutes.
and the wide open goal, and the guys, the Colorado, yep,
Look at that
Sky
one.
said another big save in the 95th minute that gives the corner. That unfortunately for the Dynamo will end up being the end of the game as game was called. Did it look like it was an own goal? I
Yeah,
thought.
it hit Andrade in the back. It hit Aronson, and then Aronson like flicked it, and then it hit Andrade in the
Oh
back.
yeah, yep.
Yeah,
And I
we see.
mean, what a way! Oh yeah, it definitely hit somebody in the back.
Yeah.
It was weird. Uh Dude, I don't even get mad. Like as a fan, like this is the type of goals you want for you at home, right? So I mean, let the people there at Sporting Goods celebrate it, man. I think it's great. Oh, and then that last play was another yellow, and Arthur
Yeah.
ends up getting red carded, right?
Second
So
yellow and a red. Yeah.
um, right at the end of time. So yeah, I can't say that we didn't see it coming. I was telling you if you had watched Movimiento Naranja before we started recording, and I sometimes I go back and I do listen, but like way ahead, like later after the fact, and I was listening to the prediction that I gave last week on this show, and I was dead set that Colorado was gonna win. I went to Movimiento Naranja, and I guess after a while, I was like, nah, they're gonna win. Like the Dynamo are actually gonna win. So I was and so I ended up going with a win for our prediction before the game. And I felt so stupid. I was like, no, man, I really should have just gone with my gut instinct that told me they were gonna lose. And you never want to see the home team lose, of course, but the
Yeah.
reality that I had last Monday was correct. That at the end of the day, it was going to be difficult to get a score or a positive score line in the Rockies. And unfortunately, went all the way till the very, very last second for it to go down, Christian.
Yeah, very unfortunate. I mean, I think, in my opinion, it was probably the last hope, just because of how close Colorado also was. I think it was a 3 point difference between both of them. And the Dynamo did look better at on the road this year, altogether than at home. And then just kind of looking ahead at the games that are ahead, Portland and Nashville, and just very difficult teams that are going to be tricky to beat, not only at home, but also going away and beat them at their home. I'll be honest, I don't think the Dynamo are going to pick up any more points whatsoever. And then not only that, but then you have Dallas and Salt Lake who also are competing for that ninth spot. We're not far off from the ninth spot as the Dynamo is, or we is the Dynamo. But I feel like, if anybody else has a chance, it's going to be Salt Lake or Dallas, who are, I still have like 1 or 2 games at hand compared to the Dynamo who are cut up, right? It would be basically a miracle if the Dynamo can just accumulate 12 points out of the 4 games that are left, which is not impossible, right? But it's going to be a tough ask for Ben Olsen and the guys. I mean, I'll be honest, Ben Olsen at this point just kind of seems resignated to the fact that this team is not going to go anywhere else. And I don't want to say we should start looking forward to next year, but I think they already have in a way. And it's unfortunate, right? You want to fight all the way to the end, especially given the conditions of what this league kind of gives you, that you literally have more than half of uh, almost a third, 2/3 of the Western Conference makes it to the playoffs, and then you can't fight to compete in one of those, and
Yeah.
it's very frustrating for sure.
Yeah, it's frustrating, but I'm with you. I think that the reality was that it was going to be difficult to get a win this weekend,
Yeah,
and then especially as you mentioned, looking at the rest of the schedule, find it difficult for them to get. I think they'll get points. I'm not necessarily with you that they won't get any more points, but I don't think they'll get enough to make it
yeah,
whatsoever. I mean, we talked about the magic number being, 44 points more or less. Dynamo at 33 points right now out of 12 left. You basically have to win all out, and there are, as you mentioned, plenty other teams that have, some games at hand, and even though things kind of worked out for the Dynamo, and some of the teams that needed to lose lost, and then obviously some that needed to, or some won.
Yeah.
It just puts you in a weird spot. I just find it very difficult. And as you mentioned, like moving into what the game against the Timbers is going to be here on Saturday night at Shell Energy Stadium. I mean, what's crazy to me is fans still show up to these games, and it sounds bad, but I mean the game against Galaxy, there's a good amount of people, and for the amount of games that have been lost at home, it's very surprising that people are still showing up.
For real.
It's the truth, and uh, we've understood in the past, the last couple years, the results were there. They were winning at home. They were getting the points needed. They were winning trophies, and unfortunately, this season, and I was gonna say, and even then, they didn't fill the stadiums up. And so now that you're doing the opposite, for people to still show up, I mean, we know that Houston, it's a soccer city, right? There's a lot of people here. They like to go to those games and enjoy those games, but man, when you're not winning, when you keep suffering, questions keep getting asked. Everybody wants, Ben Olsen gone in the fandom aspect of it. Everybody wants Pat Onston on. Like we've touched about it enough, but this is a different league altogether because people are like, oh, in another league, you lose 3 straight, you're out.
I mean,
like it is true. It's absolutely true. But this is a completely different league. I mean, there's no relegation. As you mentioned, there's playoffs. So as long as you make the playoffs, even if you aren't in the top 2, top 3, I mean, you still have a chance. You really have a chance until they tell you there's no more chance. Like there's mathematically you're out, right? And the Dynamo is not there yet. That's why at this point the chance is still there, right? There's a slim chance. But can they make it? Of course they could make it. Will they make it? Probably the percentage looks very doubtful for them to make it. But going against this Portland Timbers, just to touch on them slightly, they do have a few players out themselves. But now you think back, Arthur, Big P is the captain, won't be at this match.
I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, at this point, Urso seems like a great option.
Well, and then there's even the possibility of whether, maybe Brooklyn is there this weekend or not as well, in the sense of just, with injuries, with yellow cards, with accumulations. Brooklyn didn't look all that great, this match. But then again, who else do you have? I mean, Eric Duenas has been playing with Dynamo too. Maybe Sebastian Rodriguez finally gets a called up. I mean, if you get,
not, right?
I think he can definitely do it. But I mean, you're gonna give him his debut against a very tough team, and because you need somebody from the get go, right? That's gonna be the big question mark. And it's
not a bad idea. I mean, if you don't have both Reigns or, I mean, well, you have the guys that they brought
Arthur's
in,
out for sure.
What's the one of the guys that they brought up that covers that position?
You're talking about,
wasn't he on the bench?
Or I think it was Eric Duenas, wasn't it?
No, one of the new guys, like one of the new guys.
No, he was not there, but that's another guy, Chaka Masi, whatever his.
One of those guys.
No, he wasn't.
Lowe is a center back.
Lowe
right?
was the one that was brought in too. Yeah, and so that's but again, the thing here is because of Arthur being gone, there's a chance that maybe a guy that hasn't played much of anything has to get the start, and so that's what makes it difficult. Because even, you play Brooklyn, you play at that point they always play at 8, right? But I mean, if you're just thinking about players similar to Arthur, there's not many. There's not many. And because of that makes it very difficult to be like, okay, who's gonna be the guy to play? And as you mentioned, Urso is the guy that's done it before.
Yeah.
But it gets complicated, especially with the amount of players that are being, rotated in the last 2 weeks, and because of Brooklyn being out and Jack being out for international play, recently we saw a team that's definitely struggled against LA Galaxy, with them being gone. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, there's really nothing on Chaka. I haven't really heard anything on I know he was awaiting his visa. It looks like he has been maybe training but I don't know if he's allowed to field. But again, even if you field him, he's never played, a
Yeah.
game, and so it's it's gonna be interesting to kind of see what kind of lineup is being set against the Portland. But looking at Portland, they are obviously better in the table when it comes to the Dynamo. But since their return of play for them after the Leagues Cup, they lost to Dallas, they lost to Cincinnati, they tied against San Diego, they tied against Minnesota, and this past weekend they won 2-1 against Red Bulls. So, um, yeah, it's we know Portland. Portland is not a an easy team
Yeah.
ever to play. Those Pacific Northwest teams are just very good. Between Portland, I mean, heck, you can even throw Vancouver out there
Oh
this
yeah,
season.
all of us. All
Yeah,
of them. All of them are a freaking headache
but
for the Dynamo.
if you guys remember, Houston at one point like beat Portland, and their coaches were gone too. So there's some kind of little rivalry between Portland and Houston, and we all remember the Manota celebration right at their stadium. There's something about this game. It's a very quiet rivalry, but I think I enjoy those type of games, man.
Yeah.
But Chris, going into this game, I know we're already sounding a little pessimistic, but you
Mhm.
believe that this is a demise for the Houston Dynamo? The
Uh,
season's over after this match?
yeah, yeah. I mean, me personally, I don't think it's pessimism. I think it's just reality. And like somebody said in the chat, is just the cards that Ben was dealt. I agree. Was it Big Bites? He said Ben. He doesn't think Ben is the problem, and in my opinion, he isn't either. I think Ben Olsen got dealt a really, really crappy hand, and with not only a crappy hand, but also get into that maybe his cards weren't as good as if he want them to be, with injuries and everything like that. So it wasn't a great year overall, right? I think they did their best. They tried what they could. Um, just some of the players are not good enough, and it's okay to say that, right? It's okay to say that they're not good enough for this league, which is crazy to say because the MLS, it's a competitive league, but I don't think it's a hard league, right?
I would disagree with that.
And
I
the, and
think
the
it's a
re
difficult league.
and the reason I say that is because for you to make the playoffs is 9 teams out of
Oh,
14.
yeah, of course, but you still have to
That's the only.
you have to
Yeah, I mean,
play
you still
who's
have
in
to
front
play
of
it, but
you, right? Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
all leagues are difficult.
yeah.
But like for example, a lot of people say the Spanish league is difficult. The Spanish league, I mean,
But
you
I
could
mean,
say three
just
teams
to make a
compete, but
point of the difficulty, I mean, it doesn't matter. You look at Atlanta. A team like Atlanta spent so much money, right? They brought in this
yeah,
very known players, and they are garbage. I mean, obviously, even bringing back the prodigal son and Miguel
yeah,
Almiron had just backfired for them. It's just not the same. And man, I did not realize he was going to drop so much in level. But yeah, to solely blame Ben, I don't think that's accurate. I think it has to do a lot with the roster being built.
yeah,
But there's injuries, there's things that you're dealing with that it's difficult to bring players, man for man, and that's another thing altogether. And I think the pickups have been better, and I think that's something that I was mentioning. I think to you or to Dustin, I can't remember, but just the fact that they dug themselves into this hole. And yeah, before in March, when the season had just started and then the first transfer window closed, I remember Pat and I think Asher mostly was always being asked on Twitter, like, hey, when are you guys bringing this player or when, this other player? And I think they were trying to get like a better player quality wise, whether it be DP, I don't think it was going to be a big known name player. But when those didn't work out and the hole just kept getting bigger and bigger and they kept losing, I think it got to the point that you kind of have to do damage control and be smart enough not to just start throwing big contracts, start throwing a lot of money, because at the end of the day, that doesn't necessarily work all the time. And so the approach that they took of getting players, from free agency, like, I mean, again, Antonio Carlos has worked out. even though he had been dealing with a growing injury and now he's hurt, he may not see any more games or not as many as you wanted. But I think those are the type of pickups that you do. And I think that Damian Lillard, he's probably going to be the starting center back against Portland over even like Bartlow. And I mean, hopefully Eric, it's good to go another 90 minutes. But those type of pickups I think are important because you're not really tying yourself to a player when things didn't go right, and now you're like, oh well, now I'm stuck and I really can't make any more moves going forward. That's the only thing. But let's go ahead and finish, I guess, give our prediction. So you think it's gonna be a outright loss for the Dynamo
Yes.
against Portland? All right,
Yes.
I kind of feel the same way. I would love to see them win, but I think the most they are gonna do, from the way that I'm feeling about it, I think it's going to be a draw, specifically because there's going to be questions being asked, whether it be center back, whether it be midfield, going into this match. And I mean, who knows? Maybe whoever takes over Arthur actually plays way better and it's a better captain when it comes to it. But
And I mean, it's interesting because you go into the last 4 games of the season, and I think a lot of these players are playing for contracts too. So you would have thought. I mean, that's the thing though. Like, you can't say that the team plays terrible like 100% of the game.
oh,
Like,
they don't. That would be
that's
incorrect.
the thing, you know.
Yeah, for sure. So
Obviously,
and
there's lapses, but I mean, like somebody told me that honestly, I learned it. I didn't, not that I learned it, but I heard this year, and honestly, it has changed the way that I see soccer, believe it or not. But they said soccer is a game of mistakes. And I was like, wait, what does that even mean? He was like, yeah, the team that makes the less mistakes wins. And I was like, oh, like, I never thought about it that way. But if you really go deep into it, it's basically what it comes down to, right? You do the right things 95 minutes, and then you have one simple mistake in the fact that, one person doesn't mark somebody, or you just commit a dumb foul, give an opportunity to the opposing team. And that's just what it is, right? That gives the victory to the other team.
yeah, that's
And
exactly what
hopefully,
Jeff is saying. They play terribly, intermediately, and or give gifts to the opponents. And
yeah,
yeah, that goes to your point. Yeah, there's some players that I think that they wanted, and whether it be the Chilean center back that I think Chris, you even talked about him and
yeah,
discovery rights, whether they dropped the ball on that or not. I
I don't,
mean,
yeah,
I probably think they did because a lot of those rumors did have some kind of weight to them. But the one that for me that I think it was I think his name was like Feti or Fadi, that it was a guy from the I think he played in Israel, I believe, and he was playing Champions League at the time, trying to qualify. And I think that's one that I think they put a lot of their marbles. We did a study on him, obviously, as the information was coming along, and he was going to be a guy that could definitely be a key player. I mean, he was. I don't want to put it like this, but his numbers were very close to what Hector Herrera was doing. And so we were like, okay, this type of guy could make a lot of sense because it'd be a guy that can, you can slot in and he'd be good. But again, something happened there. And I don't know if it's a Paranza thing. I don't know if it's a culture thing, but they just couldn't get those deals done. And we can base it as rumor as much as we want, but there's a lot of information pointing to the fact that those guys were looked at and were close to being signed, and it just didn't work out. And again, the scouting department has done a really good job with all these metrics and finding players that fit the system, quotations, and play the roles that they want them to do. But if you're not able to sign them, then again, what can you do? You can't go and look at the list again and be like, well, this guy, he's close. He's like 50% close to the guy we really wanted. Do you want to go ahead and spend the DP money on this or not? And I don't think it was smart. And I think that's exactly what ends up happening this transfer window. But all right, Chris, man, we'll talk more contracts here because we are going to play a tiny little game. For
and
everybody,
let me take a break. Let me take a break and say, if you're watching this live, which I know a lot of people are, please take a second to like the video. It helps us get our name out there a little bit more. So please go over there and give us a little thumbs up on the video. Thank you so much for supporting us.
Absolutely, man. The support goes a long way. So, all right. So I told Chris, we obviously have all the information per the club. It's not like well, not per the club.
It's out there.
It's out there, but somebody has to put it all together, right?
You gotta
because
find
all the
it.
contract information is out there.
Shout out to Dustin.
Yeah, but so Dustin did a
You
good job of
nerd.
finally put everything together, knowing obviously with the season coming close to an end, transfer windows officially closed, right? And the team that you have is the team you're gonna end the season with,
Yep.
and it's important to see what, as Christian you mentioned, the players that are playing for a contract, the players that are playing to stay in Houston, or well, yeah, in this case to stay in Houston, right?
Yep.
And or move elsewhere. But we'll go ahead and get started. There are 6 players, and you know what? Let me open the depth chart so I kind of. But there's 6 players on their contract for the 2026 season
We need to
right
ask.
now. Yeah.
I don't want to cut you off. I would need to ask Dustin to talking about depth. You know how he keeps a nerdy chart of all
Oh, he
the
does. He
pieces.
does.
It
Yeah.
would be cool for him to put that out there so we can kind of, we can see it. We'll talk to him. We'll see if we can
Actually, you know who
get some
did
access
that,
to that.
and I don't know if he listens to us or not, like right now. But
Yeah.
uh, I think he goes. He's on Twitter. I think he's like Tiger Tyler. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trent,
Trent. There you go.
shout out.
I think whenever Dustin posted this, Trent went in there and created a depth chart. Actually,
Oh, nice.
so I did right now. You mentioned that. So if you guys are listening, you look for it when this article was posted. I believe it was posted on the 10th. Yeah, he threw it out there a depth chart, so it kind of shows what the 2026 season looks like. But all right, here we go. Again, there's 6 players currently on their contract, and we'll start with goalkeepers right now. There's some players that you're gonna be like, oh, where's this guy at? If it's not in there, chances are he's definitely for sure not coming back. So let's not worry about TOC. Okay. All right. So goalkeepers. Currently you have Jonathan Bond under contract for 2026, and Jimmy Maurer, his backup, both have contracts for 2026. So when it comes to the goalkeepers that either have a contract ending, well, let's go with that. Contract ending is Andrew Tarbell. So Andrew Tarbell, he's out of contract. What are the chances he come back, Chris? I think I know my answer, but what are you thinking?
Slim to none. It's very unfortunate, but unfortunately, that's just the way that the business goes. Right?
Yeah. Whenever he got injured, we all immediately said, "Man, that has to be his last game with a Houston Dynamo jersey." And unfortunately for him, he didn't get a chance. And they brought in Bond, and he's done very well, to keep that position. So really another goalkeeper, it's Blake Gillingham. So Blake, it has actual options for 2026, 2027, 2028. There is another guy out there named Pedro Santos, which he has a contract with Dynamo too. But sorry, Dynamo Santos. What did I say? Pedro Santos? Did I say Dynamo Santos? I think I'd say Dynamo Santos.
No, you said Pedro Santos.
All right, Pedro Santos. That's another player. Actually played with Columbus. Not thinking about it. But all right, Pedro Cruz. So he's another guy out there, obviously under contract with Houston Dynamo too.
No, sorry. I was just gonna say if you're on the Bayou Banter, also you put the name out there and then let us know. What do you're muted, but let us know, is it good? You want to keep them, let them go, write down the name and then say keep or let go.
You can just say keep, let go. That's fine.
Yeah.
Billingham. I think Billingham has an opportunity, but it all depends too with Pedro Cruz, because again, depending on obviously it's gonna, and there is gonna be a big wipe and of a lot of players that are currently on the team, so that's gonna open like international roster spots and stuff like that. But all right. So those are your goalkeepers when it comes to contracts. Now going into defenders, this list is a big one. And again, there's a lot of players. If I mentioned there's only 6, that means you have about 20 players currently that are on the brink of either coming back or not. But you're looking at the list. We start with Felipe Andrade. Felipe Andrade was brought in from Fluminense alongside Pedro Cruz. Both of those guys have been playing very well. Obviously, Felipe is a starter left back now.
Mhm.
I feel his chances are pretty good, but what are you thinking, Christian? You think they bring him back
Yeah.
or not?
Yeah, I think Andrade is going to be another project, another Pat project. That's what we're going to call him now. He's going to be another Pat project, which we're going to, or the Dynamo are going to try to flip for some gain. So a low risk, high result, I guess that is. I don't know how that works, but yeah, try to buy him for the low, try to sell him for the high, and I think Felipe Andrade might have the same route as our friend Mikel, who has also a cute girlfriend. With all due respect.
Let's see. Yeah. Am I muted? No, I'm not.
No, you're
I
good.
was
You're good.
like, yeah. So Felipe Andrade, just his terms. He had a loan, I believe, to the summer, and they extended it to the end of the year. So basically, in 2025, his is different because he holds an option to buy. So the club would have to spend money on keeping him,
Yeah.
and who knows what that
The
I
fee
guess
might
that
look like.
amount. Yeah, exactly. And there's
That's
always
true.
those incentives and
Yeah.
bonuses on how many games he played, how many goals he scored, and
Yeah.
I personally I would bring him back. I think
He's very active.
he's good.
Yeah.
You bring him back, especially as questions going down the line. Femi
Yeah.
Awendosu, he favorite for here for Bayou City Soccer. Seems like we talk a lot about Femi. Poor guy, but I'm assuming Chris, you don't want him back.
It's not that I don't want him. I just don't think he's holding a roster spot, right? And I think you could do better, in my opinion. So why let the boy be free? Let him. I mean, he had his chance. Obviously, I don't think it was the best of chances for him. I think they did screw him over as well. But it was also the same way that the cards were dealt to Ben Olsen. Unfortunately, he passed down the cards and he gave Femi also a shitty one. So Femi, I'm nothing against you personally. I think you could do. You're a great athlete. As a soccer player is different, and I mean, wish them all the best, but I don't think they will. I wouldn't keep them personally. You could
Yep.
use that spot for something else. Yeah, negatory
Yeah.
for it.
Okay. Now Ethan Barlow's another guy. He had a
God,
he has a club option for 2026. He doesn't get paid a ton, so salary cap wise, I would say it was still pretty friendly if you keep him to an option.
yeah,
But Christian, this is all your answers, so
yeah, yeah. No. Ethan Barlow, I really like Ethan Barlow personally. As a depth piece, I agree with a lot with that Dustin said, which is his role is basically a depth center back, and he can come in and plug in as that third center back whenever you got to park the bus or whenever something goes down. He's a young guy, like you said, doesn't get paid a lot, so he's not going to be a big hit to the cap, and he's an American. So if you can build him up, if he can get inspired and build something up, I think he would be a great especially now that you can sell people, you can sell players around the league. He
yeah,
would be a
that's
great
true.
option that to build up and maybe make a lateral move for a little bit of money. Why not?
All right, this one next is it's one that I've been wrestling and I won't give my full answer because I think it's
Give
gonna be very raw. But
it.
Griffin Dorsey is another guy that in 20, I think it was 2023, at late 2023, he got a 2-year contract and a big payday, something we discussed when it happened. His contract comes to an end this year, and the club has an option to pick up one more year in 2026. Christian, what do you think are the chances, or do you keep Dorsey or not for 2026?
I'll give him that last year, and basically that. I mean, he obviously works better under pressure, as we saw when his contract was up the last time, and he needed a new contract, and he did amazing. And I think giving him another year, I think it would give him also the fire that we need. And the thing is that Darcy is a good player. He does great for the team. I really don't know where the dip in his not quality and just some games he just seems out of it, right? But I think we've seen the great Dorsey that he is, and I think we just gotta get him back somehow, somewhere. Yeah, I think he's a great team member to have around the club, and he could be the face of the franchise, in a way. He's always out and he's very awesome with people. He's a great speaker. He's always, there to be the first one to speak to the media whenever the club is not doing great. And I think he took the blunt of that this year, showing up to the media whenever, it was crappy days and just sad faces, and Dorsey would get up there and be professional as he always asks. So if we can just get him fired up a little bit more, and next year being his last year, and hopefully he wants to stay in Houston as well, then I think it could be a good fit.
I see. I agree with literally everything you said. 99% of it. The only thing that I don't agree is that he needs to stay in Houston. I think,
Oh, what?
no, because everything you said is absolutely true. I
Yeah.
think that he is a very good player. I know he's a fan favorite, but whenever you talk about the energy and some of the things that he shows, I feel that it's gotten to the point that it kind of like to anybody, that works at a job for way too long. I think you start kind of getting burned out, even if you did have success at one point, and they gave you a big contract, they gave you a big payday, but it gets to the point that sometimes you need something new, a new challenge. And that's the feeling that I have sometimes seeing Dorsey struggle and seeing like, man, I just feel that for the longest time, and you know what? Not, now looking back, it may all be tied to with trying to make that U.S. national team, because he had already done everything else, right, that he wanted to
Yeah.
do playing club, not win everything, but everything he wanted to do when it came to
Yeah.
playing. And the next step for him, and for so many years, it was like make the
January
World
camp.
Cup. Exactly. And every January came, and every January he did not get a called up. And I don't think I think it has to be frustrating, because as you mentioned, he gives you everything. But when some things don't go, and granted, not everybody plays and those gets those opportunities. But you did feel that he was very close when he was at his best. I mean, not everybody, shuts down some of the best wingers and the shifts that he puts in and the goals that he scores, and him not getting an opportunity. It's why I feel that, if you love her, let her go, man. And that's kind of like the feeling that I get with kind of the relationship with Griffin Dorsey. And again, it's fine. I mean, he's gonna likely be here in 2026, but at the same time, as I mentioned, I could see it, him just, you know, obviously it's a club really that has to make the decision, being a club
Yeah.
option, and the chances are that they're probably going to pick him up. But again, I just feel that the time is close for him to be in Houston. That's just the feeling that I
So
get.
you think he's more checked down that the club is, in a
I
way?
think I think it's a combination. I think that both, because he is your starting right back, right? If anybody else moves in the lineup the last 5-6 years, Griffin Dorsey was always going to be the guy in that
Yeah,
position. And
it's
so
true.
because of that, I feel that it's both ways, right? I think the Dynamo already know what they have, and it doesn't matter if Ben Olsen is there, if Tom Ramos was there, if Nagamura was there. He was the guy. Griffin Dorsey has been here the longest. I think he's been here since like 2021, by far the longest tenure currently in the team. And so again, I just feel it's a mutual thing. And
Yeah.
again, it could be he comes back 2026, and then there's no new contract for him in 2027.
Exactly.
Or he plays lights out like he did in 2023 and gets a massive contract again.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of talking. We'll get to it. But
There's a lot.
here's another one, Franco Escobar. I mean, we know how I love Franco Escobar, but I think it's gonna be difficult to keep him happy, man.
That boy seems checked out. If anybody seems checked out, in my opinion, is Escobar. He just, I don't know. I feel like I wanted to say this with Dorsey, but I feel like Ache leaving, it was such a huge blow in the locker room, in my opinion, that you can kind of feel it. Like there's not really a leader, like not a dad figure, but like somebody that kind of guys looked up to, in my opinion. I don't want to get it also into the conversation of Arthur and his captaincy, or whatever that word is, but I just feel like this team doesn't really have nobody to rally around. And I think, like I said, going to Dorsey, I think if he had somebody that he could like, oh look, he's pumped up. I'm gonna be pumped with him.
Oh yeah, for
He's
sure.
one of those like
Yeah.
awesome wingman type deals.
I love
You
Franco.
know,
Franco builds you up, he tears you down, but he
and
does more
yeah,
than good than bad. And yeah,
yeah,
so in his case, just to give clarity to his contract, he was brought in for the 2024 season and a club option for
yeah.
2025. Therefore, his contract it ends at the
You
end of
know,
this year.
you know what I think also happened with Escobar is that there was rumors or talks that he was going to go to Miami and play
The
with
Lionel
Messi.
Messi wants him. Yep.
And I think, I mean, if that happens, then good for him in a way, right? I think he would fit perfectly. I mean, he would literally be.
Well, and if in our reality, I mean, Franco Escobar came and did what he always does,
He's
right?
not a bad player. He's
No,
never had a bad shift in a way.
and that's he everywhere he goes, he wins. With
Yeah,
Atlanta United, he won. He won with LAFC. He came to
you
Houston.
won
He won a
here,
U.S.
U.S.
Open
Open
Cup.
Cup.
So, if you're him, my job is done, type of thing, right? And you
Well,
move
yeah,
on. And now, if Miami had been looking for you, and now you're a free agent, you tell Messi, "Hey, Messi, I'll pay you to bring me to Miami." Like
bro, that would be. I mean, that would be his dream, and I think. I mean, him and Chelowegan, who plays right back in Miami, I think they're very similar in a way. And I would say even Escobar might be a little bit better. But I wouldn't be surprised if Escobar goes back to Argentina and plays for Newell's.
yeah, yeah.
So but yeah, I don't think he likely will stay. Also, I mean, not saying that he's old because he's only 31, but
I didn't think he'd go to Argentina. I think he likes the MLS.
yeah,
So chances of him staying in the MLS, I think it's where he's gonna
yeah,
be. And if you tell me where he's gonna go, I'm gonna say Miami. But I wouldn't be surprised if he goes somewhere else and I feel like he'd be a mercenary, right? He probably ends
yeah.
up going to Galaxy or a rival team. He'll go to Dallas, hopefully not to Austin.
He loves flashy
You
stuff.
never know,
So
man. But all right, keep moving on here. A player that it's Michael Holiday is next, and you guys are gonna be like, Who's that? I mean,
let
we've
me
never heard of
go.
this guy. He plays for the Dynamo. Unfortunately for him, we were able to interview him whenever he got picked up by the Dynamo. But he spent the entire season playing with Dynamo too, and even then it's kind of every now and then. For a while, he kept making the bench for the first team,
Yeah.
not playing, and then with D2, he held the right back position, and again, that's kind of where he's been. So he is under contract for this year, and then there's club option for him for 2026, 2027. He's a very young guy. I think he's 23, 24. Um, he was brought in to be the depth behind Griffin Dorsey, and that just hasn't been the case. Same thing again. Dorsey just kind of doesn't let that position go, and so
Yeah.
nobody gets a fair shot at it in that sense because the Dynamo are so tied to Griffin Dorsey. So who knows? It's hard to say that he's good or bad. From what I've seen, and I've been to plenty of Dynamo 2 games, he's a little hot headed. He's a little bit he is fast. He's fast and he does a good job of attacking and defending. But he's a little rough. He has that Franco Escobar to him, but not as smart. I think he definitely goes and causes a little bit more wrecks than he needs to. And the next one up here is Damian Lowe. Another guy, obviously, just recently brought into the club. He made the bench against Colorado Rapids. He played with Jamaica, scored a goal. Has Jamaica with 6 points in his table. But a guy that just the way, I mean, he's still pretty young. He's not super old. And bringing him for free, this guy has played in the MLS before with Philadelphia. I think that he's a guy that, again, he could have been signed and it could be a gem for all we know. So there's nothing to lose. He's probably going to get minutes this match, as I mentioned earlier, just because of Barlow going down and as well as Antonio Carlos. So he may be the next guy up. And I would not be surprised if he's a baller, to be honest. But we'll see. I think this one's kind of like not sure yet, just because we haven't seen him enough. Pablo Ortiz Pablo Ortiz, Christian. It's another guy on here. I don't know how much you like or dislike the play of Pablo Ortiz. But just to add here, Pablo Ortiz is on loan from FC DAC 1904 from Slovakia. His contract is up on 20 at the end of the season with an option to buy. So Christian, are you pulling the trigger and keeping Pablo Ortiz in the team?
I would say no, just because I don't know if he holds an international spot, but if he does, I mean,
He
if you,
does.
yeah, if you have Barlow and Lowe who probably don't hold a spot, and they're also dead pieces. If you have Shevchenko, if you have Antonio Carlos, if you have Barlow and Lowe, I mean, I think those are the four that you need. Um, and yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. Honestly, he just doesn't seem good enough. I mean, and granted, a lot of these guys, it's the first time playing in the MLS, is the first time traveling the way that they travel, is the first time playing in turf, is it's a lot of first time for a lot of these guys that sometimes it takes you a while,
Yeah,
right? But I don't think he
absolutely.
was a piece to to say, oh, Houston Dynamo, we're gonna hang our stuff on this guy. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think he was that type of
And I
center.
will say that going back to like the scouting and the identification stuff, I think they did a good job. Like I think they kind of mark a lot of what Mikael it's some characteristics, but
Yeah,
at the end of the
I feel
day,
it.
like
Yeah,
he's not as commanding as Mikael was and
yeah.
poised at the age that Mikael was,
Is
right?
a lot of nepotism too, if you ask me, because this guy basically came from Shevchenko's uh, word of mouth. Oh, this guy, bring him. I used to play with him. We were great. I think that was the idea, right? And then Pablo Ortiz came, and Eric was nowhere to be found. He was like, oh crap, like that's my guy. I can't play with
True.
my guy. So it was obviously everybody got dealt terrible hands, and it was like, let's see who can float. Everybody got thrown in the pool, and it's like, all right, you either float or drown, my friend. And a lot of guys are having a hard time staying afloat,
All right.
unfortunately.
Let's we got two more for defenders. I'll give you Kyrian Sargent, talked about homegrown talent for the Houston Dynamo.
Should be in the
Kyrian, you
field.
could tell he was not I mean, he played all last season with Dynamo 2. But he wasn't like your best player by any means there. He was struggling. They end up sending him to Lexington, the USL, and yep, his contract it's up in 2025. So you bring him back.
I mean, they don't even have him, so might as well just leave him in Lexington. Unfortunately, if they want him, why not give it to them?
Nah,
I'm
I
trying to look him up and see how good he has been.
oh
But
yeah, yeah.
I mean, we haven't heard much of him. If I feel like,
No.
I mean, he has 5 assists, 7 rating. He's one of the highest rated. It's one of those things like, do you bring him back and then have him playing those again, and then see if he can, bounce up on that left wing position? Andrade is already taking it, so the question is he as good as Andrade is at
Yeah.
22 years old? Because Andrade is about the same age.
Yep. No, I
The
agree.
only thing that he has
We
is
don't
that
know. Like we don't have to build it up. You don't bring him
okay,
back. You don't bring him back. It's honestly that
yeah,
plain and simple. I've said this before. You want okay. We'll fill in. We'll talk about locals talent in a little bit to close
that's
it
the
out.
only
But
yeah.
the last defender on this list is Daniel Steres. If you guys have listened to our podcast for the longest, he's by far my favorite player. And you guys are like, really? Daniel Steres, your favorite? Dude, he's a guy that whatever you ask him to do, whatever you ask him to play, whatever position, he's gonna do a very, very good job. And I like people like that. That's kind of how I was when I played way back when. Wherever you put me, coach, we'll get the job done. And that's what Daniel Sarah is. Unfortunately for him, he's been injured with a hip injury all of the season. And he, obviously got moved eventually into like a left back role. And for him, it's just been difficult, even with all this injuries to center backs, for him to get into the games because of his own dwellings. But Daniel Steres, man, I think like you like the guy as well. But again, what can you do if you're not playing, right? I mean, that was the excuse used for Hector Herrera's.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. There's not much there, to be honest. I
Yeah.
can see him leaving easily.
Yeah, and he had just a 1-year contract
Yeah.
for 2025. So yeah, his chance. I mean, obviously better in it's all the great things for him, but I think you move on from him. All right, going into midfielders, man. We're
We
about
move.
an hour and 10 minutes in.
Speed
There's
round.
just so much to discuss here, but let's go get in. Okay, what do you want to do, Christian? There is quite a few of midfielders and forwards. You want to go ahead and finish, or do you want to move it to next week?
We can go next week. That's fine. I
You want to
think.
do that?
Yeah, because I think we can go in depth with the midfielders for sure.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
Name them off. Name them off. So just
So
people
yeah,
know.
of course. So midfielders, you have Arthur, which I mean, you can talk a lot about Arthur there.
Yeah.
You got Amin Bassi, my favorite player for the Houston Dynamo, in reverse. Eric
Reverse.
Dueñas,
Reverse.
Sebastian Kobolchik, Junior Urso, and Brooklyn Reigns are your midfielders. And then as far as forward, you have Steven Anor. In reality, he's been a Dynamo 2 player since his arrival. You got Nelson Quiñones. So that's an interesting one.
Interesting.
Who had another big setback. He didn't even make the bench against the Rockies. I mean the Rockies. Yeah, the Colorado Rockies. Of course he's not gonna make the bench against the Rapids. But and then you got Sergio Santos, which is the guy they just picked up. He hasn't seen any minutes for the Dynamo yet, and Gabe Siegel to finish off. So I think just because I do want to talk a lot in detail, I think we keep it for next week.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about midfielders and forwards, and as Chris, as you mentioned, Bayou Banter, start thinking about your thoughts, look at some stats. If you think we're wrong and some of the guys we're keeping or not, man, let us know. I will say there will be quite a few guys that will be staying from that list as well. If there's 20, there's probably gonna be, and I wouldn't be surprised if they keep close to half of the guys with options that they can keep. But otherwise, either way, there's still gonna be a lot of turnover. But all right, Christian, let's finish off real fast just about the talent when it comes to local, kind of with the conversation we're having with Kieran. I think it's important, though, to understand that there is very good talent here in Houston, of course. And Dynamo 2 shows a lot of that, man. And, I mean, you see it. You watch those games. I mean, you see what the academies are doing. Houston Dynamo only has 4 academies, 4 academy teams. And then the rest are obviously, kind of are driven in through all the other systems around the Houston area. But what I wanted to mention is just the fact that you don't want those players to just be good or just be, players that can play, right? Another body. You want those guys to be the best. And I think the Dynamo are kind of filtering things well enough that I think that's what we're going to get. By the time in a year or two, the players start making that step into the first team, I think you're going to get the best talent. You're not just going to get guys that are right there borderline, but in reality, they're not players you want in the first team. Which goes to the topic, Sebastian Rodriguez. We talked about him a lot, right? He is under contract with the first team. Do you think he'll be playing in the last 4 games that the Houston Dynamo have?
I think he should. Especially if Arthur's going to be, like, for example, this game coming up, it could be a great audition for him. Obviously, the marbles are still there to be played for, so I don't know if you throw him in the Wolves, but then again, we saw what they did with Femi, right? And I think the King can hold his own. He already played, right, for a US Open Cup.
I think he played with El Salvador.
Okay, never mind. Yeah,
I think he played against Salvador. Yeah.
So I mean, he scored that game. I'm not saying as much. Obviously, it was a friendly against El Salvador. I don't think they even had their best players around. I'm not sure. I wasn't there at that game, unfortunately. But I mean, at this point, might as well just throw him in the Wolves. He's the he's the only true prospect right now that you can be like, well, you know
Yeah.
what, he's ready, right?
Yeah.
If you look at everybody else, maybe Pedro Cruz, right?
He
He
just turned 18 too,
just
so
turned
shout out,
18.
happy birthday to Sebastian Rodriguez.
But yeah, I mean, if it was me, I would say just throw him there with the Wolves. I mean,
Give him a
what else you got to
chance. I
lose?
agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
just
And like you mentioned, he's going to be more or less a measuring stick of what the talent could be for the
yeah,
Dynamo, because a player like him, and there's plenty of others, right? They're getting some call up to the international teams. Sebastian gets called up to the U20s and U18s for Mexico. So
yeah,
he's a very talented player. You can tell he's very poised for his age. And the only way
very
they're going to
mature.
learn is if you got to play, those important minutes. And I would love to see it happen, whether it be against Portland or not. But I would love to see him get minutes before the season ends for his own good,
Yeah,
because it's not about deserving it, right? But he does play very well with Dynamo too, and he's there pretty much every game, every minute. And so, especially if there's nothing else on the line, if
yeah,
you lose against Portland and you have 3 games that you have to play just because you have to play, not
yeah.
because it matters, then at that point, start giving those young players their borderline right there. Um, give them that opportunity, man. But Christian, it was a great episode.
Yeah,
And I was gonna say, any final thoughts you may
yeah,
have
last
to
one thing,
close it
because
out?
I mean, a lot of talk has been said, right, about this local talent. But I mean, if you kind of look at the local talent, there's not really a lot of names. So I completely understand when people say, "Oh, play the local talent, play the local talent," and then my question would be, "All right, name them, right? Who is the local talent?" At this point, we just have one, Sebastian Rodriguez, who has been sitting behind in the wings, behind Arthur, behind Urso, behind Brooklyn Reigns. He's a similar, position player.
Yep.
So it's not that he hasn't had a chance. Is that there's a chain of command that he has to follow in a way, and he has to be ready, and he's the captain at D2, but the opportunity wasn't there, right? And then also, give me the other players that you think are well enough and ready enough to play with the first team. I
Yeah.
mean, I have a lot of stake in Matteo Di Marelli,
I
just
like them
because
at it.
just
Yep.
because of what I've seen personally, and also what I've heard from other people around. So Matteo Di Marelli, apparently he's been making his rounds in the city as a soccer player, in the sense that a lot of people know him that
Yep.
are not in this Dynamo circle that I talked to, right? So I've talked to different players and that play in, like, for example, the World League, that they tell me about Demarelli, and they tell me, like, no, I used to play with him. The kid is quality. And when you think about, he's 16 or something like that,
Yeah.
and the kid is killing it. So there's still time for him to develop. But I mean, other than that, I'm sure there's kids like at a 14, 15 that are coming up.
Hmm.
And I've seen a few that actually played in the World League that are playing for the academy teams now of the Dynamo. So that's awesome to see how they went from like a grassroots amateur play to maybe a more professional environment. But I mean, at the end of the day, there's not a there. We say there's talent, but I mean, we've seen it. But talent that is ready to play professional
And
MLS
make a
soccer,
difference. And make a difference.
yeah,
Because we talked about I mean, there's guys that can play, and you can put them out there, and then you burn them, and that's
yeah,
it. You only saw 1 or 2 games,
Femi,
and you don't want that. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. But yeah, Christian, man, this has been a great episode. Tell the people how they can connect with us, man.
Yes, sir. BayouCitySoccer.net is the website. Like I mentioned before, we have restructured a little bit. So go check out the website. Go take a peek at it. Go look at everything that we do there. If you have the FOT Mob or Foot Mob, however you want to call it, app, we're also there. Just go to the Houston Dynamo or Houston Dash or Houston Dynamo 2 tab and all those, and go to the news section, and you're going to see some of the articles there too, so it direct line to us. And yeah, just check out our social medias. That we're on Facebook, Instagram, X, and Blue Sky, so you can check us out there. If you are listening to this, don't forget to leave a review on your listening platforms, or if you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Leave us a thumbs up on the videos, and that goes a great way. Also comment. We love the dialogue, everything that you guys hear. We're uploading all the time, every week. And not only we have this show here for you, but we also have 2 other shows, Movimiento Naranja, for all the Spanish speakers. So go check that out if you speak Spanish, or if your dad or uncle, primo, or whatever, pass it along to them. A great discussion there with Rudy usually, and our friend David. very knowledgeable guys. They also, they write in Spanish as well. So go check that out. And Orange and Blueprints during the week, also on Wednesday nights, talk all Dash stuff. So Houston is covered here. The home for soccer in Houston is Bayou City Soccer. So go check it out at BayouCitySoccer.net.
Where Houston soccer lives. I finished it up for you.
Hey,
But yeah, so again, we'll be next week. We'll see what happens with this game against Portland. With obviously, we ourselves don't feel all that great about it, and we think the season's basically nailed. But the confidence nailed to that. But and as well, the list that we were giving you guys again, the season's not over yet officially, right? There's still 4 more games. But it is very important to know, the players there have something on the line and whether they be staying here or not. So we'll finish it off with midfielders and forwards the next episode. We'll see you. Have a good night. Don't forget to hold it down and keep it forever orange.